Hello, everybody, and welcome to session 4. So, for this session, we will be going over another way to write fractions called decimals. So, decimals are another way to write fractions, and for this one, we have a decimal place value with this picture for 4-1. So, it's thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. That's before the decimal point, which is here. Then, tenths, hundreds, and thousands, and it goes so on in places. So there's standard form, which is just where you have numbers. So let's have a hundreds number, then a tens number, then a ones number, and a decimal point, then tenths number, and then you can have a hundredths number. So this would be standard form. Onto expanded form. Let's write this number in expanded form. So that would be 3, because there's a 3 here, times 100, because it's in the hundreds place, plus 7 times 10 plus 6 times 1. Now we can skip this for the tenths because there's a 0, so you can just skip. And you can go on to 9 times. The hundredths would be written in fraction form as 1 over 100. So that's the expanded form, but in decimal form, it would just be 0.01. That's what 1 over 100 is equal to. So now practice. Pause the video, do these two problems, then we will go over it. Alrighty. Hopefully you paused the video and solved. So let's see. What is 354.7 written in expanded form? Okay, so we know that in expanded form, we can do, since this is in the hundreds place, we can do 3, because there's a 3 times 100 plus 5 times 10 plus 4 times 1. Now onto the decimal place. It is just 1, so meaning it will be in the tenths place because there's no zeros ahead of it. So 7 times 1 over 10. Now, what is this written as in standard form? So you just have to multiply. 6 times 100, 6. 6. Then 7 times 10, 7. Then there's 1/10 times 4. So since there's nothing for the ones, that means we can infer there's a 0, then place the decimal point. 1/10 times 4 is just going to be 0.4. So this is our number. That's our answer. Now, 4-2, comparing and ordering decimals. Which is greater? So for this one, it's very easy when you're comparing decimal and ordering decimals because we can just check the first number in the place and see which one is greater. So steps, check the number in the place closest to the decimal point. So let's do these. So you can do the practice problems using this, and then it's inferred that whichever is larger or smaller in that place is the greater or smaller number. So hopefully you paused the video and did these practice problems. If not, I'll show you the answers. So the place closer to the decimal point, after it, remember after it, or before it, there's a 0, so that's the same. Next will be 5 and then 3. Oh, we see 5 is greater than 3, meaning that the answer is 0.5. Next one. Order smallest to greatest. So this one has a 1 here, this one has a 0. Oh, and this one has a 0. So we already know this is the largest, but it's asking the smallest. So we're going to put this at the end. So 1.001 goes at the end. Next place, this one has a 0. This one has a 3. Oh, that means this is greater, so that comes for this, 0.300. And that means this one is the smallest, meaning it goes in front, 0.002. Okay, 4-3, adding decimals. Steps. Line them up according to place value and add the normal way. So just do it the normal way, but make sure it's according to place value. And if you you can use 0 as a placeholder. Like if one of them has a 10th place, but the other one only has it up to, and the other one has a 100th place. Since the other one doesn't have a 100th place, you can use 0 in the 100th place for that. So practice. Pause the video and do these two, and I will shortly go over it. Okay? Hopefully you paused it. If not, I shall be going over it. So it says, what is 12.54 plus 123.12 plus 12? So I'm going to get a blank document PDF, and I will solve. So it says 12.54, 12.54, 123.2. So 1, because it's according to place value, 123.2, 0 as a placeholder. Then the last one would be 12. Just 12, 0 as a placeholder. 0, 0, and then 0. We can add this up. Very simple. So 4, 0, 0, meaning 4, 5 plus 2 plus 0, 7, decimal point. You don't add all the decimal points and you don't put 3 decimal points. You just put 1. So then 2 plus 3 plus 2, that would be 7. And then 1 plus 2 plus 1, 4. And then 0 plus 1 plus 0, 1. So the answer is 147.74. Next. On a Friday morning, the Williams family rode to a local market. They bought a basket of oranges for $6.57 and a basket of potatoes for $5.78. How much money did they spend in all? So we know we have to add this because it says spend in all. So 6.57 plus 5.78. All right, it's already lined up, so don't need any zeros. 15, then 13, then 12. So the answer would be $12.35. So it's very simple, like normal addition. You just 15, carry the 1 over here. So this one would be $12.35, right? Yeah. I can highlight this. Subtract 4-4. Subtracting decimals. Very similar steps. Line up the decimals according to place value and subtract the normal way. And use 0 as a placeholder, like we did for addition. Right over here. So, same steps. So, some practice. 5.555 minus 7.777. So, this one's a very long one, but like funny numbers. 55.555 minus 7.77. I think it's another one. Yeah, 7. So lined up according to place value, 0 is a placeholder. Now let's subtract. So we need to borrow from this number. So 15 becomes 4. 15 minus 7 is 8. Okay. 14 becomes 14, borrow from here. So this also becomes 4. 14 minus 7, 7. Same thing. Borrow 14. This one becomes 4. 7. Decimal point. Borrow from here. This one becomes 7, and we have 0 here, so that 47. So the answer would be 47.778. So the answer is 47.778. All right, number 2. Jeff bought $98.06 worth of packages. If he pays with a $100 bill, how much change does he receive? So we know we have to subtract this value from 100. So 100 minus, what is it? 98.06. 98.06. Let's use 0 as a placeholder once again. 0, then 0.00. So we know that we need to borrow, so this becomes 10. We can't borrow from here, or here, or here, so we have to borrow from here. 0, then this becomes a 9, because we have to give it here. This becomes 9, because we have to give it here, so 9, because this is 10 minus 1, 10 minus 1, 10 minus 1. This one doesn't have to give it to anything, so no minus 1. So we can subtract now. 10 minus 6, 4. 9 minus 0, 9. 9 minus 8, 1. 9 minus 9, 0. So the answer would just be, you can forget about the 0 now. It won't change the value. So the answer is $1.94 worth of change. So $1.94. $1.94. Okay. Now on to 4-5, multiplying decimals. Steps. So step 1. Do not line them up according to place value. Just remove the decimal points and line up according to how many numbers there are. So doing that, we can do these practice problems, pause the video, solve. Once you're done, we can work on them. Okay, hopefully you're done. Let's move on. So 3.4, this sign means times 2.7. 3.4 times 2.7. So we learned we can forget about the decimal points. So it can just be 34 times 27. But we will have to add it back later. So ironically, it is lined up according to place value because they both have 2 digits. So let's just multiply the normal way. 7 times 4, 28. 7 times 3, 21. Plus 2, 23. 0 as a placeholder. 2 times 4 is 8. Then 2 times 3 is 6. We add this up. We get 918. So now we have to add back the decimal points. So in the numbers, we count 1 point and 2 points, meaning we have to move it 2 places to the left. 1, 2. So the answer for 3.4 times 2.7 would be 9.18 equals 9.18 as our answer. Okay, on to number 2, which should have been done already. If not, pause the video and do it now. So I'll be doing it now. I bought 30 bags of chips. Every bag of chips cost me $1.42. How much did I pay? So we know we have to multiply this with this. So remember, so 1.42 times 30. We can rewrite this as 142 times 30. Look, this is the tenths and hundredths place, but it's lined up with the tens and ones place, so we know that it's not lined up. Now we can use our multiplication trick I taught you earlier to just make this 142 times 3, and we can add back the 0 later. If you haven't watched that video, you should watch it because the trick is very helpful. So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 4, 12, 3 times 1, 3 plus 1, 4. So the answer is 426, but we have to add back this 0. So 4,260, but we have 1 decimal point. So we have to move it in twice, though. You know why we have to move it in twice? Because it is moved in once and twice over here. So it doesn't really matter how many decimal points. It matters how many times it's moved it in. Like here it's once and once, so it's just 2. But here it's once and twice, meaning it goes from, that means the answer is $42.60. So $42.60. Now, on to 4-6. Dividing decimals. Steps. Remove decimals from both numbers, and if for one number if for one number you need to move it more places than the other number, then add the extra amount of movements, and then add the extra amount of movements as zeros for the other number. So it's a little complicated, but when we do the problems, it'll get easier. So I'm going to do the first one with you. So 3.47 divided by 0.03. So, no, sorry, there's 2 zeros here. So 3.47 divided by 0.003. So let's move it to get rid of it. So here, move it once and twice. So 347. Then here, when we move it twice, we get 1, 2. But it's still 0.3. So we're going to have to move it a third time. Then when I say add for extra amount of movements as zeros, there's 1 extra movement, meaning 1 extra 0 divided by 3. So this is how we'll get our answer. So this is the same thing. Oh, wow. This is the same thing as 3.47 divided by 0.003. So 3 divided by 3,470. Okay, so 3 divided by 3 is 1. So minus 3 is 0. And then bring down the 4. So 4 divided by 3 is, you can go in there once, so 3. Then you get 1 here, then bring down the 7, 17. You can go in here 5 times. Minus 15 is 2. So then 0, 20, 0. You can go in here 6 times. Minus 18, and you get 2. So you can write this as 1,156 remainder 2. So this would be our answer. We can write equals 1,156. R stands for remainder 2. So that's our answer. We write remainder 2 because that's how much we have left at the end, and then 3 cannot go into 2. So yeah. Number 2. I have $6.50 and I split it evenly among 13 friends. How much does each friend get? So $6.50 divided by 13. So it takes 2 movements to get rid of it. But this one has no decimal places, and since it was 2 extra movements, we had 2 zeros here. So 650 divided by 1,300. This seems strange because this number is smaller than this, but that just means our quotient will be a decimal. So 6 and so it'd be 650. But since this is an extra 0, we can just cross this out for both of them to make it easier. So it'd be 65 divided by 130. So you know that 65 cannot go into 130. So you can add a decimal place because we cannot do anything. So decimal place. So we already know our answer is going to be a decimal. Oh, sorry, I wrote it wrong. It can go into 130, but it's supposed to be written as 130 divided by 65. So same thing, cannot go into this. So decimal point. Then we can add a 0 for the decimal point. Now it can go in. So let's see. We know that 130 times 5 can go into there. Let's double check though. 0, 15, 650. Yes, so 5. So 0.5. So how much does each friend get? Each friend gets 50 cents. So it is possible to get your quotient as a decimal, if you didn't know that. Now, on to the last topic of today, of this thing, 4-7, estimating decimals. Rounding method is when you look at the place value and round to the place value that you choose or you are given. Compatible numbers method. So this method is you choose a number that is close to the given number and estimate using the close number. So you can pause the video, do these practice problems, and when you're done, unpause. So number 1, round each number to the nearest tenth and add. So nearest tenth would be this place. So we can round to this nearest place and add. So when you look at this next one, and when you round, if this is great, so it goes 4 or low, go down, 5 or high, go up. So this is greater than 5, meaning you make this go up to 5. So it would be 7.5 plus, this time it's 4 low, so you go down. 4 low, stay the same. So you stay the same. So it would be 8.4, and you forget about the other numbers. 8.4, or you change them to zeros. But when the zeros are going after a decimal point, it's the same thing, like not having them. So these are ironically, once again, aligned through place value and how many numbers. So let's add. We get 15.9. So this is rounding to 7.5 plus 8.4, and then we get 15.9. Now, last one. We can, when compatibility, a close number to 7 would be 8, and then a close number to 3 that I'm going to use can just be 3 or 4. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to use 3 in this case, so it would be 8 times 3. And usually when you do rounding this way, you can do it in your head. We all know 8 times 3 is 24. So that's what we get as our answer. So this is all about decimals. I hope you enjoyed this video and everything came in handy in session 4. Thank you. Subscribe, like, hit the notification button if not already done, and keep watching.